So the first paganism video blog I'm going to do is actually going to be rather casual, because I have books. I'm a bookaholic. I love to read. I mean, if you look by my bed right now, you will see a stack like this of novels that I will read over the course of like a week and a half. But anyway, I do not anymore own the books that started me on this path. Actually, the very first book I ever read on Wicca in general was Silver Ravenwolf's Teen Witch. It was a really good start, and I will admit that I am not as fond of Silver Ravenwolf. Sorry if you're watching this, Silver Ravenwolf. You're not a bad writer, that's not the point. I just happen to have a little bit of a different viewpoint than you do on some of these things. But, some people would say that, it's just fluffy, and that's really not what I think about it. I just think that Teen Witch is actually a really good starter for any teenager or young adult who is beginning a path in Wicca. Given the fact that my path has gone from Wicca to eclectic paganism / heathenry, kind of depending on who you ask what the term would mean, especially as a follower of the Morrigan. So let me just get started with some of the basic books that I have, or what I would call basics. I recently picked up a copy of DJ Conway's Maiden Mother Crone. This book really just discusses goddess culture, goddess myths, tales from, the Celtic to the Norse and then some. And there's a bookmark in there. Cool. But this is a really good book for a general study of goddess-oriented paganism. So, definitely a recommendation. This one stays on my bookshelf for a reason. And I lend it out a lot, as it happens. Now I'm going to lead into this next one with the topic of herbalism and working with herbs, which I have begun doing a whole heck of a lot more lately. I have a ginormous copy of Paul Bayerle's A Compendium of Herbal Magic. This is one of the biggest standards of herbalism that I know, beyond the other ones that I'm going to be mentioning shortly. Now, Paul Bayerle also wrote the Master Book of Herbalism, which I don't have yet. That one is just, I haven't gotten it yet. It kind of hasn't really come to mind. I've been focusing on other things. But it is definitely a good place to start, because it has lots of dedicated entries with some wonderful illustrations. 330 herbs covered in detail. So, another one I would say. Now the next two, and they're basically the same one. I'm not really saying the same one exactly, but one is a more vintage, halfway version of the other. Scott Cunningham, who is one of my favorite authors. I have like 4 of his books now. Still want several more. He has this is a little older, his Magical Herbalism, which was in part of Llewellyn's Practical Magic series, and this one basically just tells you the basics and the beginnings of, what you need tool-wise, what you need, to know about several different types of herbs. However, he leads from this into the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, which is pretty much all the herbs that probably most of what exists anyway. It's huge, it's practical, it's easy to read. Both of them are really good because this one gives you a little bit of more detail on the actual practical magic sense of things, while this one is literally an encyclopedia, and it gives you a lot of very practical information that's very accessible, very easy to read. very simple. So, along with my other, with those Cunninghams, I also have his complete book of incense oils and brews. This is one of the first ones since I started rebuilding my library, and this was a gift from a friend. Thank you, Eric and Brittany. Good friends. Total surprise, by the way. They checked out and she handed it to me. I'm like, what? But no, this one basically helps you in doing things like incense, oils. They've got, let's see. You have ointments and inks and tinctures, herb baths, bath salts, brews, ritual soaps, sachets as my dad likes to correct me, or herbal charms, powders, etc. They talk about, substitution, things you can substitute for others if you don't have one particular ingredient readily available. So it's actually, it's a pretty good one to use in tandem with his herbal books and with Paul Barrel's herbal book, because along with that you can make some pretty amazing things. I've actually made infusion oils, and basically with olive oil is not the best start, but grapeseed oil is very good for that. So the last one that I have of Cunningham's is his Encyclopedia of Crystal, Gem, and Metal Magic. Now, as most of you are probably aware, I am a serious rockaholic. I love crystals, I love rocks. I have probably over 200 to my name now. One that I just picked up on the day of this recording, my wonderful turquoise. And since I just got the turquoise, let's see what it says about turquoise. Because this one is basically like the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, except for crystals, gems, and metal. Tells you all kinds of different little information about what their uses are. So, turquoise. Oh, there you are. Turquoise. Folk names: Fairuz, Arabic, lucky stone; Turkey stone, Turkish stone; Thetis, ancient Greek; Venus stone, horseman's talisman; receptive energy. And that's another thing it talks about, is the energy of each stone, whether it's receptive or projected. It tells you elements, planets, deities, associated metal, powers, and in this one, turquoise is protection, courage, money, love, friendship, healing, and luck. And then it gives you some backgrounds of the magical and ritual lore, and tells you about the magical uses of the stone. And sometimes there's just some really interesting tidbits about the stones, about the the metal and everything else. Alrighty, and here we are with my next favorite author besides Cunningham is Starhawk. And if you know who Starhawk is extremely influential author who wrote this wonderful book called The Spiral Dance. And this is the 20th anniversary edition, so this was written in the 70s and originally published in the 70s, and it is a tour de force that discusses everything from the beginning of the goddess movement and Wicca movement and all of the rest of it, to the changes in society that reflect changes in paganism, and that, and there's a little bit of feminism and civil rights thrown in there, and earth reclaiming. So much in here. It is just insane how much to this movement there has been. And I don't remember if it was in the same, I believe it was in about the same era in the 70s that Margot Adler, who just recently passed away, I'm sorry to say, because I've really enjoyed reading her book. She wrote Drawing Down the Moon, which is another kind of, anthropological study and society study of paganism, witchcraft, Wicca, etc. And that book is actually like 3 times as big as this one. But either way, they're both very important books. And I don't own the Margot Adler one, unfortunately. I wish I did. But someday. Um, but this gives you a lot of information, including some ritual information. I also have from Starhawk another older book, as you can tell probably by the cover and the pages, Dreaming the Dark. And she discusses here spiritual and political individual in society. But, you know, this one is a very raw, you know, with current affairs and women's studies. A little bit of everything in this one. That brings me to the other ones that are kind of specialty books that I have. I picked up this one recently, and I don't know if I'll be using it, but main reason I picked up this one is because it discusses creative nature and also in pagan nature and the way they weft and wend together. This one is Kevin Manwaring's The Way of Eowyn. And now Eowyn, this follows the Taliesin of Wales, the Welsh tales of the bard Taliesin, who was sometimes, and I'm really not sure, so please pardon me if I sound a little iffy on this, because I'll be honest, I don't really know. I have an inkling that he is in the same vein as the Merlin in Arthurian tales. However, I don't know if he is one and the same. So I have seen, if you've read Marion Zimmer Bradley's The Mists of Avalon, which I also have on my shelf. I'm tackling the nonfiction at the moment. The Merlin is alternately called the Merlin and the Taliesin, and he is a druid. And I'm also probably pronouncing Taliesin wrong, pardon me. But in any case, this book kind of gives you a background on the Way of Eowyn, as well as some biographical things about the journey into this path that the author took. So there's that book. This one is actually about the Morrigan. It is Stephanie Woodfield's Celtic Lore and Spellcraft of the Dark Goddess, Invoking the Morrigan. Now this is a big, study book. This is what I'm currently working with on my studies into the path of following the Morrigan. And it really does stick to the Morrigan and her influence in Celtic culture and the Celtic mythology, and the goddesses that are, associated with her. So that is what this book is all about. And then I have a copy of the 1999 Llewellyn's Magical Almanac. This one is just a plethora of stuff. It's a hodgepodge. We have pieces in here. Let's see. We have mini authors. We have mini authors that I know, and I've probably mentioned during this little video of mine. Let's see. We've got Raven Gramassi, whom I have read. Sybil Moonflower, Eden McCoy, Silver Ravenwolf, and we have as well Christy M. Wright, Starflower, Lynn Sturdivant, etc. There's quite a few of them here. Starwin Isis, Shay. There's actually 2 pieces about the Morrigan in this, so I kind of halfway feel like it was Providence that my friend recently just dropped this off. We've got, a Wiccan creation story, psychic first aid, the magic of music, the Harper's Dream, celebrating the 8 seasons. There are so many little pieces in here, and really it is one of those things that I do believe Llewellyn has been putting out year after year for quite some time now, and I have pretty much made it a resolve, whatever, I'll just go with it. I'm resolving to start picking up these copies because there is so much good information in these. And as you can tell, they're rather thick. So there is the almanac. And last but not least, and in fact, I almost thought about making this one lead into a discussion of paranormal books that I own, but I decided that since this is going to be strictly a paganism video blog, that it was just going to be paganism books. So this one I found very randomly at my favorite store next millennium, which I will discuss in later vlogs, A Witch's Guide to Ghosts and the Supernatural by Jarena Dunwich. This one literally goes over pretty much everything from, you know, what ghosts are, and, you know, how paganism and the paranormal intersect, protecting yourself from paranormal entities. It does discuss exorcism and demons and things like that. And there's quite a lot of information in this. And in fact, there's even a little section that discusses deities of death and of the underworld, and mentions such gods and goddesses as Anubis, and Balor, which is a Celtic god of death, and the king who rules over the race of giants known as the Fomorians. We have Charon. We have let's see, people that I recognize. The ones that I recognize: Hades, of course, Hel, and Kala, Lhasa. There's some lesser known deities in here. The Morrigan is in here. And as well as Odin. Yeah. And there's plenty of them. I mean, there's pages and pages on that. So, also, you know, communication with spirits and things like that. And of course I picked this up because as a paranormal enthusiast and pagan, I was kind of intrigued to see what she would say in this. And actually I think it's a pretty dang good book. So, that is my current collection. I have a few books on my Kindle that I'm not going to really call up because I really don't want to sort through all my Kindle stuff. I've got so much crap that I have not categorized, of course. But I do have, some books that I've been wanting to get. You know, there have been other books by Stephanie Woodfield, other books by Scott Cunningham. I'd like to get Paul Bayer's other herbal book, anything else by Starhawk. And I was thinking about getting the first book by Kevin Manwaring. And I don't remember what that one is called, but I've got it written down somewhere, so I'll probably end up with it at some point or another. In fact, come on. This is my phone, which is tethered at the moment. Well, I can't really find it, but that's okay. I had another list at some point, just long list of books I wanted to purchase, which does include, you know, Margot Adler's Drawing Down the Moon, which is a very, very important book. We also, let's see, I think anything pertaining to the Celtic deities I kind of want to read, as well as other things. Now, before I sign off here, I want to apologize because I know that I got kind of a little windy, I don't know what you call it, a little goofy during this video. So I appreciate you sticking with me until the very end of a 20-minute video about books. And stay tuned for my next one, which I don't know what it's going to be about yet, so let's keep you in suspense.